Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on episode 36, season 6 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesdays on Facebook and YouTube throughout the season. Evening, Richie. It was another decent weekend of footy, although a few more one-sided clashes than I expected, including a massive win for Samoa, which sees them secure a spot in the Pacific Championship final. How are you and how was your weekend?
Good, thanks, Brad. Yeah, my weekend was decent. I was working, so I was a little bit busy here and there, but I did manage to catch majority of the games. Not a great weekend if you're a Tonga supporter, but Samoa made me happy. How about you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. As I just said to you before we jumped on, a few late nights, making the decision to stay up to watch the Australian-England game as opposed to going to sleep and then getting up a little bit earlier. So just trying to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, tried to catch as much of the footy as I could. We'll talk about it a bit more at length, but that Samoa and Tonga match was a hell of an entertaining clash. So we'll talk about it a bit more in depth later on. But while we're here on Wednesdays at 8 p.m, you can also catch us at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the week 2 of the internationals. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys and from each other. And then we'll end the night previewing week 3 of the internationals. Paul's not here, so we'll no doubt answer all the questions as we go anyway. But remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump into the top stories, mate.
Yep.
First one, it's not really big news anymore, but the news broke during the week after our show last week that Sky would not be televising the Kangaroos England game on Sunday morning, and there was an influx of complaints to Sky. They actually then managed to secure a feed. It was a direct from England because from what I understand in Australia, they had Voss and that commentating from Australia for it, where we got James Graham and Brian Noble. I think that was part of my decision to get up and watch it live, going, if we're all going to complain about it, we actually got to watch it. So they see there's actually people wanting to watch it. But I assume that means Sky's going to broadcast the rest of the tour, but I haven't seen anything confirming it. But what do you think about it? You think it's a good step that they actually listened and brought it on?
Yeah, for sure. Gives us the opportunity, you and I, to watch it. I know you stayed up and watched it live. I didn't. I wasn't that brave, but I did catch a replay. But at least we can put eyes on it over this side of the world. You know, it sucks having to look the footage up on YouTube and that when you just want to watch it live.
Yeah. But yeah, be hopeful. Hopefully we'll get the rest, and we'll see how my sleep goes on the weekends when that happens, especially not with a Labor Day to catch up. I haven't seen the official announcement yet, but it firmed up over the weekend that Eden Park will be getting a State of Origin game. Apparently Game 2 in 2027 will be played at Eden Park. Potentially a 9:30 kickoff is what I'm hearing. We'll see if it actually happens. But we've talked about it at length. We're not overly phased if it comes here, but if it is, you're not going to look at Gift Horse and a Mouse and have to go show up. But we'll see once an official announcement's come out. But I thought we better mention it here. You got any thoughts, or are you still on the same opinion?
Still in the same opinion. I was neither here nor there, but if they're going to bring it here, I will more than likely go because it'd be cool one to say you went to. Hey, who knows? Maybe a couple of years down the track, 2027, we might be able to get some standoff footage, Brad.
I'm always bad at that. We could try. I'm always bad at getting footage. I get asked almost every week by Paul. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we actually have some confirmation.
Adding to it'll be on during our show, wouldn't it?
That's what it popped into my head. It was like, if it's a Wednesday, if they're making it a Wednesday game, it would be during the show. So we'd have to figure it. We've got a couple of years to figure it out, mate. We'll sort it out. But continuing with that trend of the NRL looking at sending games all over the place, they've also been rumored at looking at making a global round to launch the seasons. So at the moment, the season launches in Vegas. Apparently, they're looking at an idea of that whole first round taking games around the world. So they're talking about like Vegas already, London, Dubai, and the like. I can see it being an interesting concept, but at the moment, I think they've got to focus on trying to sell out all the games in Australia first. There's a couple of teams that get big crowds. There's only so many marquee teams you could take to another country to get a big crowd, like London and that. You'd need like Broncos, Panthers, names, recognizable teams. You're not gonna, what if some team gets like Titans versus, I'm trying to think of another bit. Dragons, Titans versus Dragons. What country gets that, and will people actually go? Last thing you want to see is that first round. Is you send a game to Dubai and 100 people come. I'm sure there'll be more than that, but Simon said not a crazy idea having a launch in Vegas and London. I could see it more. I would be sticking with countries that have a love for rugby league. Simon said Dubai is a pie in the sky crap. Yeah, I don't see Dubai happening. But and Jacko also said someone tell Belandy that playing club games around the world doesn't make league a global game. Yeah, they seem to be, especially after this weekend with all the talk about like the internationals. You want to make it global, you do more internationals. That's especially in countries that aren't familiar with the rugby league. The concept of country versus country makes more sense. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think I like the idea and concept. I just think there's a lot of work to be done beforehand before you can start pushing that. But say you take like Kiwis versus Australia, and you could throw that into like a Dubai if you wanted to, just Dubai because that was the name mentioned. You would probably get more people to that than Rabbits versus Roosters or something. Jack said it's just a reaction to R36. Yeah, after criticizing the competition and saying it's rubbish, they're copying the model. So we'll see what happens. Kiwis news: Zach Docker-Clay and Tamati Martin have been called up into the Kiwi squad to replace Jerry Marshall-King and Ronaldo Mulitalo. So Jerry Marshall-King, I can't remember his injury right off the top of my head, but Mulitalo, we'll talk about it, injuries later. He did his ACL, so he is out. Devastating for them, but great for the other two to get the call up. I think Tamati Martin said in an interview he was on holiday in Fiji when he got the call and jumped straight on the plane and said, there was even a chance that he'd get pulled in and never play, but he was still keen to do it. So, great for them to get an opportunity. Yeah. You got any thoughts on the changes? They seem like the next like for likes, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But I know they'll do a job. I'm a bit nervous about this weekend anyway, but I'm sure they'll go out there and give their all. Tamati, we know I know Tamati's up to that level. Playing against Tonga, he's got no fear, and Zach Docker-Clay will jump at the chance, I'm sure. Yeah,
and then going back to global game, I should have moved these around to a better order. There's been reports that Kenya, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, South Africa, and the United States of America have all submitted bids to host the 2030 Rugby League World Cup. So a few interesting countries in there that got it, but we'll see. I think they would love America if they to go there. I think they would really like that themselves. Papua New Guinea, I don't see happening. Just the sheer size of the World Cup. the security concerns that they already have trying to get one rugby team there, let alone trying to have a whole World Cup. I could see them potentially being involved the next time Australia get it, where they might have a few games in Papua New Guinea. South Africa is big enough for a World Cup. I'm not sure how much traction they'll get. Yeah.
It's so rugby, man.
Yeah, they're just trying to, I think it's their way of trying to get the Rhinos to be allowed to compete in it. So we'll see. And Kenya is an interesting one as well. I think out of all those things named, I think New Zealand and America are probably the front runners out of that group, which would lead me to the United States. I don't know if they would want to do 2 World Cups in a row in Australia and New Zealand. So I don't know. Selfishly, I'd love it here. Just a week ago, but we'll see. It's a long way away. They normally kind of announce the hosts of the next ones when the World Cup actually happens, so they like promote where it's going to be next. So, Thomas, you got any preferences on where it'd be, or you don't really care as long as it happens?
Yeah, bring it here. The last one that was here was awesome.
It
takes me back to the buzz around the. Yeah, apart from the Kiwis, but it just takes me back to the buzz around, well, especially living in Auckland at the time, at the Pacific Island nations. It's awesome. And we'd embrace it, you know?
Yeah. I was lucky enough to go to the semi-final at Mount Smart. Obviously, thinking ahead, we all expected the Kiwis to be in that one, but it was England, Tonga. And hell of an experience with all the Tongan crowd. So, it'd be great to have it here again. We'll move on. Big Tino Fasua Malawi is going to test the open market November 1st. Not a big surprise. He's kind of spoken about his disappointment, I guess is probably the wrong word to use, with how the Titans have been going since they brought him in. Kind of brought him in to, be the guy that helped them get to that next level, and it just hasn't happened. They have some money potentially spared up due to a player that they've released, which we'll talk about later in signings, to offer him a bigger deal. But he's basically, I think there was an interview where he said, your time as a narrow route player is short, and you got to think about what's best for you. It's not always about the money. So he'd have a lot of suitors. So I guess it will go down to who can actually afford and need him at the same time. But yeah, I don't see him being at the Titans. If he's itching to go, I think he'll go. So the Titans. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. Dolphins.
Doesn't have to leave
Bears.
Queensland.
Yeah, Perth Bears would be interested, but Perth Bears, I think you're in the same situation as the Titans, where the Perth Bears aren't going to be. Potentially they might be like a Melbourne Storm where they come straight in and are competitive, but I think they'll take a few years to get into potentially being a playoff team. So that might be a step, not backwards, but a step to the side. And then, I think you'd want to go to a solidified club. It's just a lot of those big boppers that could give you that premiership run straight away may not be able to afford him or need him in their team because they've already got, like you could talk about the Panthers, they've already got Isaiah Yao. They don't need him. Broncos, they don't really need him either. Dolphins is a good shout though. They've got a few aging forwards that are on the way out. So that one could be a good shout. Another one not released, but the Sharks have been rumoured to have allowed Jesse Ramian permission to speak to other clubs, and if he can find another club interested, they'll let him go. I think he would get picked up by a few teams. There's a lot of teams that need some centres, man.
It's interesting, though.
Yeah.
He's been a mainstay in their centres for a while now. I wonder what their plan is, if he moves on. Maybe
I'm not sure.
Hiroti?
Yeah. I think think they'll look at their young guys to try to bring them up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There'll probably be some traction around November when I guess a few teams will probably wait till November 1st to see what other players they can actually talk to. But the fact that he could be a guy you could have for 2026 might help him out. So we'll see. The big news, I guess, for Warriors fans, well, there was two bits of big news. We'll talk about one of them later on, but the Warriors announced what I think is the final NRLW signing that they promised, bringing Stacey Walker to the club on a 2-year deal. Massive one. She was one of the players on my list when the Warriors announced that they were coming back.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, very happy. Out of pretty much all the ones they stole from the Broncos. Poor Broncos just got pillaged by the Warriors here. But yeah, Herm and Millie were, or Millie, I should say, because there's another Millie I talk about all the time.
Millie.
They were the two players that I really wanted to see in Warriors colours when they announced that had some NRL experience. But yeah, my question to you is kind of around that as well. But yeah, your thoughts on Stacey coming over. I watched her interview with the Warriors on their YouTube, and she seems
me too.
Psyched to be here.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm very happy, mate. I think the signings that were hinted, what they've turned out to be, I think on top of what the foundation we built this year, it makes, I'll save a little bit of thoughts because I know you want to ask me about it later, but yeah, I think a couple of those signings have given us a nice, complete-looking roster.
Yeah, really looking forward to that season next year to see how they go. Next bit of news is a bit interesting. I said it in one of my chat groups when I heard the rumor. The Storm are rumored to be interested in getting Jack Hetherington to the squad. So they released Nelson Asafa-Solomona and then bringing in another Nelson Asafa-Solomona.
Yeah, and they still have Trent Liero. It's a little bit that way too.
I've made no secret to my fanboying of Hetherington in the past when he was a lone player with the Warriors, and I liked what he had to offer, but he just needed to work on that discipline. That discipline, he's gone through a few teams now. That discipline's still an issue, but I would say if anyone can sort it out, it's the Storm. But we've seen them with Nelson. Nelson was never able to change it, and yeah, Trent right now is their current problem child. So it'll be a big boost for him. I think if he could develop anywhere, a place like the Storm is it. But there's a lot of work to be done for him. And Jacko said you can't go wrong with a Jack. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few Jacks that didn't do that well in the NRL. I'm just not quick enough to figure it out off the top of my head. We talked about it a bit last week, mate, about the World Club Challenge. The Broncos and Hawkeeye are apparently in discussions at the moment and are trying their best to ensure it happens. So that's good. It's always a good. Jack said name the brand. Like I said, I've got prop brain right now. Jack Bird. Now he was good, okay at the start. But yeah, and Simon said the World Cup Challenge will be perfect in Las Vegas. Yeah, the only issue is with that one that they've already assigned Hull KR to play against the Super League team. I can't remember who it was. If they weren't announced, that would have been the perfect place to do it. So it's probably too late in the planning process to kick them out and put another Super League team in. I'm sure we'll get some more news as it goes on. Next bit, Sea Eagles announced that Kieran Foran will return to the club as an assistant coach for the next 2 years. Apparently, the Titans were keen to keep him in some capacity coaching-wise, but he basically said, he spent most of his life at the Sea Eagles and he'd like to go back and contribute off the field. So I think it's a good step for him for the next step of his footy career. and Manly probably need all the help they can get.
Yeah, and if you ask me to choose between those two, I'd go Manly too.
I don't know, living on the Gold Coast, not a bad way to go, man.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, both nice places.
You don't have that much pressure as an assistant either.
Not going to do a lot of winning either.
No, and Jack said Manly having a bit of a coaching shake-up. Yeah, they're moving things around, so they're trying everything they can to try to spur some life into that club. And speaking of Manly, it sounds like DCE's deal with the Roosters is set to be announced next week. Apparently, it's going to be a 1-year deal with an option for a second. It's been the worst-kept secret for what feels like all of this year that he was going to go to the Roosters. So we're just waiting for the actual official announcement. But it sounds like that's where he's going to go. There's already Sandon Smith will announce in a little bit. Is already the first player to jump ship after that. Wants to go. He wants to develop. He doesn't want to be stuck behind another player. Apparently, Hugo Savala is looking at leaving too. So it's a big gamble, losing quite a few of your young halves to bring in an aging half for 1 year, unless they can try to convince Hugo to stay and learn off DCE.
Yeah,
not sure, but I think that second-year options, the second-year options probably scaring a few of those young players away. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It seems like one of the one club that doesn't actually need a halfback to come in is the Roosters. So we'll see. And then I think Simon mentioned it earlier, but France defeated Jamaica 36-0 in the weekend to secure their spot in the 2026 Rugby League World Cup. So I had no idea that game was even on. I forgot to get the score as well. Ukraine won as well. They won their game with Jet Cleary leading them around the park. There was some nice pictures of him and his dad there. But yeah, I forgot to get the score. But yeah, and I forgot who they were even playing. We did talk about it a few weeks ago. But yeah, congrats to Jet. Hopefully that keeps him fully positive about staying at the Warriors. We want to keep him around. But we'll go to signings, mate. It was just announced today or last night. The Rabbits have officially signed David Fifita on a 2-year deal. I think the Titans are paying $500K a year for that. So, yeah, it's kind of a bit like the DCE. It was basically worst kept secret. That was where he was always going. There wasn't any rumors about any other club. It was Rabbits or nothing. So, yeah, we'll see if Wayne can work some of his magic and get Fifita back to the Fifita of old. He's kind of running out of chances, I think. I think if this doesn't succeed, he might be Super League bound potentially. He's got a lot of talent there, and I think with Bennett, I think Bennett can get the best out of him. We're just going to wait and see. Your thoughts on Fifita, or more of the same?
I'm excited for him. That's a good chance for him to get into a. I know they didn't do too well this year, but you put a lot of those injured players back in, and you put him into that team. If Wayne can unlock something, which we know he can, it's a great chance for Fifita to bounce back into the equation as one of the top second rows. You know, he certainly fell out of favor where he is, so I'm sure he'll be excited to rip in with some good quality players around him and good coaching.
Yeah, and Jago asked $500K a year for how long? I think it's both years. I couldn't get the official word on it, but it sounds like for both years of the 2-year deal, the Titans are chipping in, which I was thinking today, one of my random thoughts when I'm meant to be working. I don't know how you feel as a player when your team's willing to actually pay you to leave. You're still getting paid regardless, but what was it? That was Moneyball, the movie Moneyball, mate. There was a scene in there where there was a guy that had come from the Yankees to the team, and he was talking about how much money he was making, and the manager of the team said, "You're not making that much money. You're making this much. The rest of that money is how much the Yankees didn't want you." It was that type of situation. Bit different down here in good old NRL, but yeah, be an interesting stigma, I guess, when they're that desperate to get you off the books, they're willing to pay you to walk out. And Jacko said, as bad as us paying Lodge out,
that one sucked.
Yeah. Next bit of news, though, we just talked about briefly. The Knights have announced Sandon Smith on a 4-year deal. This has been months in the making. We talked about it ages ago about Sandon Smith. It looked like it was going to fall out when the old Knights coach wanted to turn him into a hooker. That changed, said, no, you're a half. Actually makes the Knights look all right if you had the Sandon Smith, Dylan Brown halves combo potentially. But yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's a great move for Sandon Smith as well, as opposed to being in reserve grade because DCE takes a spot. So, out of the options he had, I think the Knights is the best for him to get his chance to shine. Just see if the Knights can turn things around. Next one, Adam Cook was released from the Raiders, and he's going to join the Lee Leopards on a 3-year deal. There has been rumors. I forgot to put it in here. The Raiders are potentially looking at Jackson Hastings to come in more as a mentor half, as opposed to trying to build a team around him, but bring him in to help give some experience to those young guys and get them under the learning tree. We'll see if that one actually develops. But then Sea Eagles announced that they've signed Blake Wilson from the Bulldogs on a 2-year deal, and also announced that they managed to get Tom Trbojevic to extend until the end of 2027. So Blake Wilson, I think, is a decent guy. A decent guy to bring into the squad. Never know. Getting Tom Trbojevic, obviously all the issues they were having off the field and him falling out of love a bit with the club seem to have been tied over for now. Got to just see if he can actually stay on the field for those 2 years that he's got. Simon said he won't get the homesickness like they had. I think, Sandon Smith going to the Knights, should be all right. And then the last one, mate, we talked about it so much last week, mate. It makes us look like idiots. After all the rumors about it, saying that he was on the way out, he was testing the market, he's going back to Sydney. Luke Metcalf's extended with the Warriors until 2028. Very happy. We said we wanted him to stay. Doesn't sound like they had to pay anything over and over the top like we thought, which probably would have happened if he went to 1st of November and was talking to other clubs. His pay, he would have got a big pay bump just off that fact. And his interviews he's had afterwards, really, it changes every year, but it makes it sound like he's here for the long haul. He said, he wants to be that guy that wins the Warriors their first premiership and things like that. Very happy, and he's saying all the right things. We just got to keep him on the field and see those things he's saying transfer into actions. Very happy. Makes me a little less stressed about the half situation in the next few years. Anything else you want to add about Lukey Met?
I'm very happy, and I hope he gets the good run of health that he deserves, and a good run of fitness. Not get any more season enders. He's had his run of those.
Yeah, I wanna see him get through the whole year next year, which obviously that's every player's goal. They don't want to miss any games, but he hasn't had a full season yet, so I want him to get that ticked off, and then maybe mentally that will be another lift he needs. To know that he can go through. Fingers crossed. We'll go to injuries, mate. There were quite a few. I just grabbed some of the main ones. Jethro Rinakama from the Bulldogs / Fiji. He has injured his shoulder, needs surgery, and is going to miss the start of next season. Big loss for the Bulldogs there when he started to find some form, especially letting Blake Wilson go. Ronaldo Mulitalo Sharks Kiwis. He did his ACL, needs surgery. He's going to miss a big chunk of next year. They're saying like potentially middle of the year. Massive loss for the Sharks. Yeah, going to be tough for them there. Then, yeah, I did put Jerry Marshall King down here. He injured his thumb and he's out of the internationals. He'll be fine for next year, but he's out for the rest of the Pacific Cup. Isaiah Yeo from the Kangaroos failed his HIA. 11-day stand down, so he is out of the next game against England. I think Harry Grant's been named captain in his absence. Stefano Utokumanu from Tonga failed HIA, 11-day stand down. And Robert Toya from Tonga has got a foot injury. No word on how severe, but he's out this week. So your thoughts on those? I'll save the Stefano stuff till the next segment. But
yeah.
Your thoughts on any of those injuries?
The big one there is Ronaldo. Gutted for him, and it's big blow for the Sharks. But
and Kalamatangi needs surgery. He's okay to play through the internationals. He's playing for Australia at the moment, but he said in an interview Wayne Bennett knew of this surgery and said play for Australia first, do the surgery after, and he should be back for the early rounds of 2026, but he'll miss all preseason. So we'll go to Naughty Boy Corner. There was the big one. I put it here instead of the news section. Tyrone Munro, mate, from the Rabbits. He's currently in trouble for alleged domestic violence charges, and he has been informed that he has got the no-fault stand-down from the NRL, so he's not allowed to participate in any competition until he is cleared from those charges, if that happens. If he isn't cleared, then it goes to a different direction. But I thought better mention it on here. And then there were only fines from the games, including Francis Molo for hitting Stefano high. There was a lot of conversation during the game, especially because the game went for like 3 hours. It was an NFL game, mate. About how they believe Molo should have been sin-binned, and that especially since Stefano got ruled out of the game. I'm still on the other side of it, where that opens the floodgates again, where you're punishing someone for the injury, not for the action.
For the outcome. Yeah,
for the outcome, which we don't want to do. And the NRL and the commentators that sit there are generally on that side where they don't want to do it, but in that situation, they change their mind. I get it's frustrating losing a player to an HIA and the other player gets to stay out there, but it probably should have been a sin bin. It's just it wasn't the call at the time. But yeah, I don't want to see them going down that road again where you're punishing someone for the injury, not the action. But yeah, it was a sin bin every day of the week in the NRL. It wasn't in this one. Doesn't change my life, but admittedly, if it was like James Fisher-Harris out, I might have a different opinion. I can pull my bias in there. But yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think definitely if that was in an NRL game, you're probably looking at a sin bin. Maybe it's just the rep footy thing, and they judge the game through different eyes.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that bad of a hit. To be fair, it was just a misalignment, and there was probably a bit of savagery.
Good enough to concuss somebody.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of savagery in it just due to the fact that it's Stefano, and he has played for both teams in that. So, they may have been a bit, the Samoans might have been a bit upset that he abandoned them to play for Tonga, potentially. All speculation on my part, but you generally see that type of stuff happen. But yeah, that was it for all of that. So we'll go into week 2 of the internationals. As we explained last week, we'll briefly discuss the games we watched and then go into more detail in the big games. So we had on Saturday, the PNG Gummels defeated Cook Islands 40-28. That's basically, I think that's secured PNG maybe for first spot to go and play in that promotion relegation again. I don't know why I'm saying that when I could look at the standings that I've got here, mate. Well, it all depends on this week, I guess. Fiji are currently first. So, yeah. They might get, it'll be Fiji or PNG. Cook Islands, once again, definitely not in that game. And then Samoa beat Tonga 34-6. In the women, we had Cook Islands defeat Tonga 42-24. And then the Jillaroos defeat Samoa 16-0 in a massive game. And then in England, the Kangaroos made easy work of England 26-6. So you watched as much of the games as you could. You got any brief thoughts on any of the other games other than Samoa and Tonga?
Yeah, Kangaroos way too good for England. I was quite disappointed in England. To be fair, I thought at home they might show a bit more resilience, but not to be. And I think that they've seen Reece Walsh and his wizardry firsthand now, so they'll be well aware of what's coming in the next test.
I'm the same. I expected more fight out of England. I still expected the Kangaroos win, but I thought maybe you'd be looking at like a 26-16 or something like that. But they just offered very little. As you said, they've learnt what they're actually facing, and hopefully we see a bit more of a stronger fight this week. But I still see it being 3-0. But I think I've predicted 3-0 in every England tour since they started up again. So my faith in England is very low. Jagger said the Cook Island girls playing very well under Griffith's coaching. Yeah, I thought the Cook Island girls have been looking really good. Cook Island guys are still struggling. I think when they get a couple of those guys that have jumped ship actually fit to play for them, they'll get a bit more competitive. PNG, they're always good in these types of games. It's when they go to that next level that they look far behind.
They're great in this tier of footy.
Yeah, and then Jillaroos, Samoa. I said to you before we jumped on, I'm really concerned about the game this week between Australia and New Zealand and the women, when the Kiwi Ferns just scraped through against Samoa, and then Jillaroos didn't even look like they got out of second gear. They just were cruising. They are the best team on the women's side of things for a reason, but I'm hoping that the Kiwi Ferns can do something. They have done it in the past. But yeah, we'll see. And then before we go into the next game, Jagger said England Aussie hardly awe-inspiring stuff. The pre-game hype was way over the top. Yeah, they were. I was actually getting a bit annoyed. Admittedly, I was very tired when it started, but they were acting like it was going to be the greatest game on the planet, and I was like, it's severely one-sided here. And yeah, we'll see. They got a decent turnout though. I think there was like 60,000 turned up. So hopefully the crowds continue and the games get a bit better. But yeah, let's talk about Toa Samoa and Tonga in more detail, mate. Basia said Samoa securing their spot, winning 34-6.
Yep, 6 tries to 1 for Toa Samoa. We had Isaac Tango, Jeremiah Nanai had 2, Murray Taulangi, Payne Haas grabbing his first try for Samoa, and CHT for Tonga. They had the one consolation try to Tolu Kola in the 78th minute. Game was well done and dusted by them.
Yeah, dominant display from Toa Samoa here. They came out of the gates fast and just kept the pressure on the Tongans all night, forcing mistakes with some stern defence, and made the most of their scoring opportunities. You know, didn't have a lot in that first half, and then the game opened up in the final 20 for them. Just a solid display from a team that was able to dust off the disappointment from last week's close defeat. They get a well-deserved rest this week before the final, which I'm sure will be in a Samoan heavy crowd. It's just, it's kind of a theme for the 3 teams in this tournament at the moment. Samoa, Tonga, and New Zealand. The more they get to play together, the better they get. So this was a way better performance from them this week than it was compared to last week. I'm expecting the same from Tonga this week. When we talk about it later, I expect them to be a lot better this week than last week, and the Kiwis I expect as well. That's why you always gave the Kiwis a chance to beat the Kangaroos in the tournament as opposed to the one-off Anzac just because they build better. So I think it's a thing for all of them, and it still encourages we need more games out of these teams regularly. This one-off one game each year is not really great. Jagger said Samoa fixed their dummy half problem with the youngster. They'll be hard to beat in the final. Yeah, I think that was a big improvement from last week.
He was
around dummy
fantastic.
half.
Yeah, and I like that when they gave him a spell, the CHT came on. They kept Jazzy well away from the dummy half.
I love Jazzy, but that's not where he should be. So I think that switched. I always get his name wrong, the young guy, but him and CHT as your tandem dummy halves, I think, is the way to go for them in the final. But your thoughts on Samoa?
Yeah, I did not expect it to be as dominant as that. I thought they were a lot better off for the run last week. Having the tough, high quality game last week. They definitely were better for the gallop, and I thought the forwards really set the tone defensively, like you said, but also with ball in hand. There were a number of standout forwards for Samoa. Payne again, Jeremiah Nanai. Pretty much the whole front row rotation was in destructive mood. I think they didn't ice all the chances they had in the first half. They did well to sort of apply the pressure and have the better of the possession and territory. But later on in the game, it really broke Tonga down, and I think that's where the advantage of having the game last week showed. And then they came out after the Lightning and grabbed a couple more. It was that Lightning stop was a bit frustrating. Made it drag on.
Yeah, the bloody soft Australians, mate. A little bit of thunder and lightning, and they all run away. All you saw, most of the Samoan crowd was still out in the open. But that was frustrating when you. It was only 20 to go. The game was over essentially. I thought there might have been a point where they just called it off. But thankfully we got to finish it. And before I ask you about Tonga,
Junior Bolo had his best game ever.
Yeah, 100%. It was amazing.
He was part of the, they were all in destructive mood, but he had a chip on his shoulder for sure.
Yeah, and then your thoughts on Tonga?
Pretty much the exact opposite. They looked short of the gallop. They had so much firepower out there, but just looked like they were lacking combinations. When you look down their whole back line, it's just superstars, Lehigh Hapawari, Tolu Kola, their whole back line, Stat Izzy Katoa. Then you had people like Leka, I think, who showed how destructive he can be this year and really struggled to get into the game. I think it was just rustiness, and they just looked like they couldn't. They didn't look like scoring, to be fair.
No.
Yeah, they had the one consolation try at the end, and that was it. So I'm definitely worried about them this week because I know we'll get a reaction, and we'll have had a week together, watch some video, and we'll come out angry. But I don't know, maybe too much royal treatment. Hey, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media and celebrity red carpet type stuff, royalty type, Demi with the crown on, sitting in the throne. It's like maybe they're believing their hype a bit.
Yeah, that could have been a part of it too. But very rusty performance from Tonga here. They dropped far too much ball. Struggled to get their game breakers into the contest. As I said, like Leka being destructive everywhere. I think it was like almost 20 minutes into the contest before he got his first touch. And they just couldn't get those guys that could break the game open for them, the ball. And when they did, they dropped it. Isaiah Katoa really struggled to get his side into the match, and defensively they were on the back foot all night. I think unfortunately the halves pairing of Katoa and Iongi probably isn't the way forward. Throwing a fullback in there. But yeah, it was a real disappointing effort. I know the players that have spoken afterwards said they were all very disappointed in themselves. And as you just said, I expect a very big bounce back this week against the Kiwis. I think I'm confident the Kiwis can win, but Tonga have the potential to win the game if need be. I just don't think they have the ability to win the game by the amount they need to make the final. I think I said to you before we jumped on, they need to win and win by 17 or more, which I don't see them being able to do that, but I could see them potentially getting a win here. Don't want to see it happen as a Kiwi, but yeah, if they are to beat the Kiwis this week, it needs to be a complete 180 on what we saw in this game. Your player to stand out?
Had to go with Jeremiah Nanai, man. Just yeah, you probably did too, but he's just I think he earned it with his aerial skills, and it's just how dangerous he is for a second row. You know, he's got a skill set that not many out wide there, big men out wide have. And he brought it into a big game, which I'm happy for him. You know, had a bit of up and down sort of form with the Cowboys. Always been, stepped up and looked decent for Queensland, but yeah, he showed it in the internationals, which is good.
Yeah, I went with Nanai as well. He was out Katoa and Katoa. Was a great game from him there. Before we move on, though, Jacko's also said Tonga will have to go an all-out attack, so if Risky passes stick, who knows? That's it. Yeah, they're going to throw the balls to the wall, and that could potentially be just what they need to disrupt the Kiwis. But before we move on, gripe time from Brad. We haven't had Brad bitch and complain for a little bit. The bloody commentators in that Tonga Samoa game constantly all night talking about what Roger needs to do to improve so he can be the Warriors fullback next year. There's been no indication from Roger or the Warriors that he's going to be fullback. He's playing fullback for Samoa because he's the best option they have. But yeah, Cooper Cronk, bloody sitting there saying like he needs to do this, this, and this, and he'll be the fullback for the Warriors next year.
Saying he needs to work on his ball playing.
Needs to work on his ball playing there. He's a winger now, mate, and he seems pretty happy. You're not going to turn him into a fullback in what's going to be his final year of the season. Final year with the Warriors. You would rather give that to Tane if you were going to change it up. You know, a young guy with a future. But it's just a great. I get annoyed at Cooper Cronk all the time anyway. But just thought I better mention it. We'll go on to the standings. It actually looks a bit better this week because there's been some games. But Women's Pacific Cup, Australia at the top. They've played one, but plus 60 points differential. Kiwi Ferns also with the one game second with only a +2, and then Samoa dead last. That's where they'll stay with the Jillaroos and Kiwis playing each other this week. Pacific Bowl, Cook Islands are at the top. So as Jacko mentioned earlier, doing really well this week. 2 games, 2 wins. Tonga, 1 game, no wins, and then PNG at the bottom, 1 game, no wins. They play each other this week, so they're playing for second, basically. Pacific Men's Cup, Toa Samoa up the top now because of the points differential, 2 games, 1 win. Kiwis, 1 game, 1 win, and then Tonga, 1 game, no wins. And then Pacific Bowl, it's a bit more interesting. Fiji, Buddy at the top. PNG second, only separated by 8 points and points differential. Cook Islands dead last. So Fiji, PNG play each other this week. Winner will be a cracker, and the winner will go into that promotion relegation game against either Tonga or New Zealand, depending on how that game goes this week. And Jacko said Aussie commentators have their own agendas. That was another. I was getting really pissed at Voss during the Thunder break because that's when they have to go off script and they have to just talk like normal people. And he kept going on. He was just saying like what we've been saying all the time. We need more international games. But he made the fatal mistake of saying you don't know when the next time these 2 teams will face. Like, well, next year. We know in the Pacific Cup. We know exactly when. We just want to see more of it. But I get their sentiment, but it was just a bit annoying, mate. And then, so that is it for that. So we'll remove that picture. We'll go to questions. We've been answering all night. We'll go with your one first, mate.
Yeah, mate. We're seeing a generational run from Reece Walsh. On absolute fire towards the back end of the NRL, carried it through the final series, picks up the Clive Churchill, and then takes it into the internationals as well. Do you think this version of Reece Walsh, and it's a pretty special version of Reece Walsh, the clutch game-winning ability, his defense has improved as well, noticeably. Is this the new Reece Walsh, or is he on just some purple patch run a la Kalen Ponga 2023? And he'll fall into a lull again at some point.
I was saying it all through the back end of the season and finals that I was waiting for his form to dip, and it just hasn't. I still feel like there's going to be one to happen. It just depends on when he has one bad game, how the next game will be. This potentially could be how he is now. As you said, like his biggest issue has always been his defense, but that international game against England, that grand final where he was making some clutch defensive plays that we haven't seen from him in the past. Potentially, this just could be the new norm for him, which, if that is the case, it's very scary for how good the Broncos potentially are going to be while that happens. But yeah, there's part of me that's always just waiting for that slip to happen. So I'm not really answering your question. I think I'm 80% leaning towards this is probably what we're going to expect from him if he stays healthy and if he stays out of trouble off the field. I think that's always the elephant in the room, is that he has the potential to completely derail his whole career by doing something stupid off the field.
And can he carry it into State of Origin?
Yeah, well, he's Queenslander, so of course he will.
That's one place we haven't really seen him really stamp himself like he did in the grand final.
Yeah. I think if he can do that next year, he'll be well and truly on the right side of things. Your answer to that, are you yay or nay on it?
I think naturally people will always have a lull here and there, but I think his dips in form will last won't last anywhere near as long now. I think we're watching a very confident young fella I think he had a breakout moment halfway through this year, and I think he just realized he's the man and what he can do, how he can influence results, and when he lost his starting halves to injury in that later period of the year, Reynolds, Mam, he really stepped up and was the main guy and was doing everything, kicking 40-20s, laying on all the plays. So, I think this is going to be, we're going to see a lot more of this. And when he does go off color, it's potentially going to be less than we saw before.
Yeah. Jacko said only a bad injury will stop Walsh becoming an immortal. Yeah, I think if he can stick like this, he'll be there. And I think in terms of what we were talking about, the dips and form and that, you want him to be a Nathan Cleary compared to a Ponga, where Nathan Cleary, he doesn't hit 10 out of 10 every game, but 9 times out of 10 he's going to be playing well. With Kalen Ponga, depending on the day, even a Latrell Mitchell, they could be the best player on the planet for one game and then not even worthy of first grade the next. So you got to find, I think it's something Ivan's always said, you want to find like the difference between your best and worst game get closer and closer, and then you're on the right track. But I can't stand the bloke, but you can't deny his talent. So I think the NRL is only better if you have a great Reece Walsh as opposed to a mediocre one.
They would love that too, just because of
he's single-handedly keeping rugby league alive around the world, mate. Didn't you hear it in the commentary in England?
Yeah. But I mean, he does have massive influence, and reach out into this generation of fans. So, good luck to him, man.
Now, my one, mate, we'll get off sucking up to Reece Walsh for a bit. With the recent signing of Stacey Walker, the Wahinis have got a solid squad. How confident are you in their chances of going all the way in 2026?
Yeah, I had to stop myself rambling about it earlier when you brought up Stacey Walker, so I could save a bit of opinion for the questions. But that's how excited I am. I think her, Mele Haufunga, Gal Broughton, adding that trio of players onto what we already have, what we're building this year, makes us very dangerous. We've got good coaching. I can see us playing finals for sure. And I'm hoping Jacko's right there. Wahine's top four, definitely achievable when you look down our roster. If a lot of those girls stay healthy.
Yeah, I put them in the top 2, top 3 right now. You've got the Broncos and the Roosters are the teams well above everyone. Broncos have just had a massive hit of losing. They've lost 5 players to us. Some key figures. They do have Jesse Southwell coming, which is great for them. Roosters are always strong. They got everybody. So I put them, depending on how the Broncos respond to losing all these players, I put them either second behind the Roosters or third behind the Broncos. So, definitely top 4. And then once you're in there, as long as everyone's fit, I'd be confident that they could shake things up. And Jago said Broncos will dip, but Chookies will still be very strong. Yeah, I'd be putting all my money on the Roosters being in the grand final next year already. Their team's too good, but I think the Warriors have a shot. The Wahinis, they have a shot to at least make it, but I think by at least 27, 28, I think they'll be in contention for being one of those teams that you have to say are likely shot of going all the way. But we're just going to see how it translates. Sometimes all these signings doesn't translate to a successful team, but they got the right coach to do it. So and you look at what he did with some of these kids that had never played league before this year, and then you throw in those experienced players. I'm very, very confident. I've been more confident in them winning a grand final before the boys' side does. I think I said it earlier this year. The Warriors will win every championship and before they win the big one. So we'll keep stockpiling that trophy cabinet, and then we'll finally get the big one as well. But very excited for the Wahinis next year. We'll move on. We've got a big game this week at Eden Park, mate. Kiwis versus Tonga, 6:00 on Sunday. If Brad can remember how to do all that crap we give Paul, mate. It's a hard job. Here we go. Bring up the team list. Whoa. Just don't touch it, Brad. So I'll go through the Kiwis team and I'll let you do Tonga. Just making sure we don't racially offend anyone with my pronunciations. So we've got Chance Nickel-Crookstead at fullback. The wings are Jermaine Asako and Sebastian Chris. Chris coming in for Mulitalo from his injury. Centres, we've got Matt Tomoka and Casey McLean. Dylan Brown, Kieran Foran in the halves. James Fisher-Harris, Phoenix Crossland, Moses Leota front row. Bryden Nakora and Isaiah Papali'i second row. Joseph Tapane lock. With Tamati Martin coming onto the interchange. Nafahu White, Aaron Clark and Xavier Williamson making, I believe it's his debut for the Kiwis here, taking Nelson's spot. So very happy with that squad, kind of what I was expecting. Knew Chris would be the first one in to replace Mulitalo. Tamati is a handy back player, and Xavier, surprised to see Xavier get his look, but I think he's probably a safer option in this game than Nelson. You don't want to be getting any risky penalties. But very happy. You happy enough with the squad?
Yeah, for sure. I think the 4-pack's outstanding. We lose a little bit, I think, with JMK out. But I think the rest of that full pack is so good that I think it makes Crossland's life a little easier. And yeah, I think pretty much the rest of the side picks itself.
Yeah. And now Tonga's teammate.
So fullback, Lehigh Hopewari. Wings, Daniel Tupou, Sione Katoa. Centres, Tolu Kola and Paul Alamoti. Halves, Isaiah Iongi and Isaiah Katoa. So they go around again, Brad. Front row, Adam Fanor-Blake, Felice Kafusi, and Saliva Havili at hooker. Second row, Ali Katoa, Siwa Wong, and Jason Tamalolo interlock. Interchange bench, Sonny Luke, Leka Halasima, Demi Vaimaunga, and Maui Forueka.
Yeah, no, only had 19 players. The extended bench is looking pretty thin. But it should be a hell of a clash. I'm still picking the Kiwis here. It could either be by 6 and under, or they could blow them off the park. It depends on the mood Tonga's going to be. Tonga won't want to go down embarrassed. It's going to be a massively one-sided stadium. It'll be full of red. So it'll be a hell of a clash. But yeah, I'm edging with the Kiwis here. And Jacko said, considering their lineup, how Tonga was so poor last week is very strange. Yeah, last week when we were looking at this very picture with the Tongan lineup, we're talking about how scary strong that Tongan team is. It's not that different from what we're looking at right now. And they just didn't deliver, unfortunately. Potentially, maybe their coach, now that he's got a full-time NRL gig as well, maybe it's a bit tougher. They were being paraded around in Tonga, rightly so. They're heroes to the Tongans. But yeah, maybe their eye were off the ball a little bit. But they won't be taking anything for granted playing against New Zealand. So yeah. So who are you picking?
I'm actually going to back Tonga in, but I think it'll be close, and the Kiwis might take a close loss and bounce back in the final.
Right. I'm sticking Kiwis, mate. But
I think it could go either way, and I'm only really saying Tonga because you said Kiwis. Bit of diversity.
I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and played really well and won. But yeah, hopefully, as long as it's an entertaining game. Week 3 of the
don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's a win-win for you then, because then you can pick the winner that you choose in the final. You can pull out the Samoan flag or pull out the New Zealand one. Week 3 of the internationals, mate. So going through the rest of the games, on Saturday we have PNG Kumals versus Fiji. As we said already, winner will play in the promotion relegation. Kiwis Tonga. Essentially the loser should play in the promotion relegation. Kiwis, if they lose by a little bit, will survive. Jacko also said we never play well at Eden Park. It's because it's a shit stadium.
That's true. Me and Brad have been there many times to watch Warriors perform crap there.
Yeah. And then in the women, we have Papua New Guinea versus Tonga, and then the Kiwi Ferns versus Jillaroos, which should be hopefully a closer clash. We've been proven wrong with that in the past. And the Jillaroos have been, when you consider like Las Vegas and how many games they actually get, they've been on a hell of a run. So it would be nice to see the Kiwi Ferns put that to an end. And then England, obviously, Sunday morning, England versus Kangaroos, and hopefully a bit of a closer affair. Anything else you want to add, mate, before we let everyone go? We managed to crack an hour.
Yeah. We did well. No, I'm happy, man.
All good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune to our show next Wednesday at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or YouTube, or at your convenience on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Just remember to search New Zealand Sport Radio. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.